Welcome everybody to a Tilt webinar with Esther Park. It is Thursday, the 15th of July, 2021. I'm Helen Myers, I'm chair of the London branch of the Association for Language Learning, and I've been absolutely delighted to be able to host these webinars on behalf of AWL London, but in particular, noting the incredible contribution from Joe Dale. Well, he's been leading it really, who's been talent scouting, yes, finding all these wonderful people. He'll be introducing our speaker later on, but Joe, first of all, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you can do for us?
I'd love to. Thanks ever so much, Helen. So the last Tilt webinar before we break up for the well-deserved summer break, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with everybody, and we've organised about, we're not sure exactly, but I think over 130 webinars in the Tilt series since March 2020. So a huge amount of work, completely to access for free for everybody. And it's been an absolute pleasure to put it all together. And it's been an absolute team effort between myself and Helen. And it's really lovely to be here on the last one before we all break up and have a well-deserved break. So a little bit about me. I'm an independent languages consultant. I make a living through doing webinars now as a result of the pandemic. And in the chat, I put 18 example sessions of different things I can do. If you're looking for a slot in September, either in those first couple of inset days that you may be having, or a bit later on in the month or in October and what have you, and you'd like to get in contact with me and ask me to do a session for you, a bespoke session based on your needs, then do let me know. And I'd love to hear from you. But let's get back to the main focus today, which is the amazing Esther Park.
Thank you. Just in passing, AWL, the Association for Language Learning, if you are a member, it would be great if you could put down in the chat that you're a member and encourage people to join in. Whichever country you come from, it's great to be involved in an association for languages. It's a really worthwhile thing to do. As Joe said, we've already done lots of webinars, and if you go onto our website, then we'll put the link in the chat later on. You can just, at a click, you can access a page devoted to each webinar, and from that page also you've got a link to Joe's YouTube channel. He's now got loads of subscribers, and that's where you can see them. But this is what you're here for today, to listen to Esther Park. So I'm now going to pass over to Joe to introduce our very, very important speaker.
Thanks ever so much, Helen. So I'm absolutely delighted. I'm thrilled that Esther has agreed to do a webinar for us. Esther came up on my radar probably about 6 months ago, I think, through her amazing animated GIF feedback resources that she was creating. And of course, I went out and had a go at making one myself. And there were lots of fun. And I've seen lots of other examples of Esther's work through creative jam boards. And I could go on, but I won't, because I think we just need to let Esther share her screen and show us all these amazing ways in which we can use technology to enhance language learning. So Esther, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really, really genuinely delighted that you're here. Could you give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself, say where you are from the States, and then we can then start the presentation. But it's a real pleasure that you're here. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks, Joe. It's such an honor, and I'm beyond excited to meet with you all virtually and share some time exchanging best practices on how to integrate technology into language teaching. So hold on, let me see. All right, so to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a English language educator and an instructional designer based in the Washington, D.C. metro area. So I am in the Northern Virginia area. Previously, I school English language learners or multilingual students, and I also teach an undergrad course on second language acquisition. I am a trilingual, so I speak English, Korean, and Spanish. And as I said, I'm a former English language teacher and a former English language learner myself. So I passionately believe in the power of technology integration, and that technology can bridge the learning gap and promote active learning of language, and make learning fun and engaging, and create this equitable learning environment for all learners. Whether you teach little ones or high school or post-secondary, I think technology has the power to do so. My session today is titled Using Technology to Help Students Swirl into Learning. So today I'll be talking about practical engagement strategies, some gamification ideas, and digital scaffolds to help students swirl. So you might be wondering what swirl is. So basically it's the 4 domains of language: speak, write, read, and listen. So I'll be sharing some tips and tricks to help students swirl into language learning in a virtual or hybrid or even face-to-face learning environment. So my goal is to empower all of you with the tools and resources that are super easy to implement right away in your classroom, whether you are in the virtual classroom still or in a face-to-face, or if you're getting ready for the next school year. Hopefully this session and some of my ideas will sow a tiny seed in your brain so that you can be inspired and create some amazing things using the tools. We have some people, someone from Arizona, hello, and from Argentina. Awesome. It's so nice to meet all of you. I'm going to share today's slide deck in the chat box, or maybe Joe or Helen can help me share the link. So this is going to be a streamlined Google Slides link where all the resources that you will see in my presentation. I am a believer of free ready-made templates. And we as educators, we need some ready-made templates so that we can save our time and have a life, right? So I'll be sharing several ready-made templates for you as I model some of these strategies that I use in my own classroom, and then you can find them in my slide deck. So the link is in the chat box. Yes. All right, and if you have any questions throughout this session, please feel free to drop it in the chat box. If I see a burning question, I will answer right away. If not, we will have some time at the end to address those questions at the end of my session. All right. Okay. So before we begin, let's do a quick icebreaker activity using one of my all-time favorite digital tool or digital scaffold called animated GIFs or Gifs. I don't know how you guys pronounce it. There is a great American debate on this, the pronunciation diversity of GIF or GIF. Whatever you prefer to pronounce it, I say GIF is the correct way, but I've met so many who are totally against it, and they're like, no, this is called a GIF with a G sound. There you go, Joe. But I say it's a GIF. I am in that extreme. So anyways, so the icebreaker question for today, and I want all of us to participate and use a chat box to just to tell you what kind of teacher you are, using the 4 GIFs. So A, are you a sergeant type of teacher who you really want to see your students succeed and reach their fullest potential, and you're always putting the students to work? A. Or are you a cat lady? B, you just adore them all, no matter what they do. So are you a cat lady? C, are you a buddy? You're always making jokes with your students and you're like their favorite friend. Or are you a D, a taskmaster who deeply care about every little font size in your slides? So go ahead and type it in the chat box using the sentence frame. So if you look on my screen on the left side, left bottom of my screen, there is a sentence frame. As language teachers, we love sentence frames. So using my sentence frame, go ahead and type your response in the chat box. So for example, for me, I am a taskmaster, but I often admire the buddy teachers. So go ahead and type that in the chat box. We have some mix of A and C. We have some cat ladies in the house. We have some sergeants. Wonderful. Great. Hey, we have a taskmaster in the house, Julie. One note that I want to address before moving on, make sure when you are typing in the chat box, you are sending the message to everyone in the meeting. Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for all of your responses. It's so good to meet you through the chat stream. So just like how all of us have different personalities and the way that we teach and how we bring our unique colors to our classroom and to our teaching, our students bring different colors to their own learning experiences. As we know, every student has different learning preferences. Some of our students learn best by speaking and writing. Some learn best by reading and listening, which are the receptive skills, right? That's why the focus of swirling, speaking, writing, reading, and listening, and helping students understand what they read and hear, and making that content comprehensible, and giving the students the tools to show their learning by speaking and writing are important. And we're going to focus on some of the digital tools to help students swirl. So here are 6 reasons why we should help our students swirl every day, and why the 4 skills should be equally promoted in our language classrooms. So first of all, of course, they are the cornerstone of language acquisition. They're the cornerstone, they're the foundations of language acquisition. And as language educators, we are all aware of the fact that we need to promote and encourage 4 language domains in our classroom. Second reason is giving students more opportunity to speak and listen, especially speaking and listening to each other promotes positive emotions and really helps students acquire the basic interpersonal communication skills, the language skills that are needed for basic social interaction. Reason 3 is that it promotes meaningful cognitive interaction with the content, which pushes the students the acquisition of CALP, which is the cognitive and academic language proficiency. So whatever content that you teach through the language, it pushes the students to acquire the cognitive, interactive, academic language skills. And then number 4, it develops the knowledge and communication skills for the future so that they go out in the workforce and really rock the world. And reason 5 is swirling. It creates a balance of literacy, which is the focus on reading and writing, and oracy, which is the focus on speaking and listening. So it creates that balance of all 4 instructions so that our teaching is not dominated by teacher talking and only a few students talking, but it really brings 100% engagement. And number 6, focus on SEL, focus on social emotional learning. It really helps engage some of our students who may be struggling to work or play with others, because teaching them how to listen to each other, teaching them how to speak will really boost their interpersonal skills and self-confidence and empathy towards one another and self-advocacy. So, So now that we briefly looked at the importance of encouraging swirling into our language and content classroom, the next question is, how do we do that? So how do we help all students swirl? How do we help students speak, write, read, listen into learning? The answer, of course, is scaffolded instruction. Scaffolded instruction. So look at this awesome image that I borrowed from Edutopia. And think about your own definition of scaffold. What do you notice from this image? How does this image support your definition of scaffolded instruction? And what are instructional scaffolds? So go ahead and type your responses in the chat box. You're going to utilize a chat box. So go ahead and type in what you notice from this image, or how does this image support your definition of scaffolds? So go ahead and utilize the chat box and let us hear your insight. What do you notice? And what do you wonder? And how does this image support your definition of scaffolding? Wonderful. Marie says, step by step provides modeling and starting small and building upon the basics, different levels of learning, construction. Yes. And Nicole notices people at each level, but no one is in the same level. That's an excellent observation. Thank you. Yes, Helen, that's awesome. There are some dangerous areas where learners can fall down. That's an excellent observation. Thank you all. Wonderful. Supporting students to reach higher. Thank you, Jessica. That's awesome. Wonderful. So I'm going to move on. As you know, I looked up the definition of scaffold that's used in a non-educational construction context, and this is what it says. So according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, scaffold is a temporary or movable platform for workers to stand on or sit when working at a height above the floor or ground. And it's a supporting framework. So the key words here are temporary and tool that workers use in working at a height above the ground where they're right now at, right? They are foundations, and foundations have to be strong. That's great, Julie. So this is a definition of scaffold in a non-educational construction and constructional context. Now, this is the definition in the educational setting of what a scaffold is. So scaffold is a metaphor that we use for providing a supporting and a temporary structure to help students complete a task that's a tad bit above their language level and something that is difficult to do alone, but doable to do with support. So these scaffolds are different means of helping our students reach higher level and helping them even social emotionally, giving them the confidence boost to complete a task independently or in partners or and confidently. Yes. Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, or ZPD, is defined as the space between what a learner can do, right? What a learner can do on their own and what a learner cannot do, right? No matter how much support and assistance they get. And ZPD is the sweet spot right over here. It's a sweet spot where the learners with the right level, with the right method of scaffolding can thrive and really maximize their learning potentials. And as we know, our multilingual learners, especially if you teach English as a foreign language, they enter our classroom with so many creative linguistic strengths and characteristics that are ready to be built upon. And it is our job is to create that proximal, that maximal development area and create that scaffolded instruction so that everyone can thrive in our classroom. So one little thing, I know a lot of you mentioned that the definition is scaffold, and the key word here is temporary, right? So a scaffold is not meant to be a permanent support, rather it has to be removed once students have the skills and the language to do it alone. right? And as someone mentioned, their ultimate goal is to reach higher, right? And I love this quote from our friend, Tanya Ward, singer, and it says, you need to both use and use scaffolds. So today I want to share some different digital scaffolds and instructional scaffolds. And these scaffolds may be beneficial for your students, but for some, it won't be beneficial. So as educators, we have to assess where our students are linguistically and choose the right scaffolding tool from our toolbox and use it when appropriate and lose it when time comes. So also within a group of students you teach, some students in your classroom will need heavy tools, heavy scaffolding, and some students will need light tools. And some students won't even need the tools at all. So that's why we need to be cautious of losing and using these scaffolds, right? So I'm going to share two different forms of scaffolds. So we're going into the practical resources now. The first form of scaffold is digital scaffolds to give access to learning. There's so many amazing technology tools and resources out there that we can use, in that if we leverage these digital resources, they have the power to help all learners reach the top of the building and really soar into, language learning and language acquisition. And it's important that we empower our students and teach them how to use these tools on their own, so that they can choose what works best for them. And then the second form of scaffold is the instructional scaffold that we use in our lesson preparation and lesson delivery. Now, these are scaffolds and strategies that we can use to intentionally and purposefully help students speak, write, read, and listen, or SWRL into learning. So here is my chart with some digital scaffolds that you can use to support the 4 language domains. Now, I'm not going to go over all of these resources, although they're awesome resources. In my presentation slides deck, all the resources are linked, hyperlinked in my deck. So feel free to explore more if you like to explore about immersive reader or a one-click Google translation tip. So use the resource that I shared in the chat box for more information. Now, I want to start off with sharing this cool PowerPoint feature that is already built into the program. If you have Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint has a live translator subtitle feature, which I am using right now. So you may have noticed on my screen, there's a real-time translated subtitle in French. So Microsoft's speech recognition converts spoken words into written text and translates into 60 different languages. So if you speak French, like Joe, he might have noticed that the translation is pretty accurate. And the best part is that it translates real time as I speak simultaneously. And to set this up, you would go to your PowerPoint program, and then under slideshow tab, under subtitle setting, you can choose the spoken language, whatever language you would speak. So right now I'm speaking English, and choose to target the subtitle language, which in my case, it's French. And this is a pretty cool tool that you can give, a digital scaffolding tool to give your students so that your students have access to the target language that you are speaking in. So that's PowerPoint live translation, and I'm modeling it for you. So it's great if you speak French, you can see the difference between my spoken English and the written translation. The next scaffolding tool that I want to share is the Google pronunciation search feature. Oh, that's a great question, Michelle. I will go back to my program and see if there's an Arabic language, Michelle. Okay, so moving on to Google pronunciation. This is an underused Google feature, and I had some European educators telling me that it doesn't work from their location, but I'm just going to share it anyways. So this is a Google pronunciation search feature that I'm showing on my screen. There you go. This is a powerful resource for our students. And basically in the usual Google search bar, if you type the target word in English plus the word pronunciation, you will see a Google pronunciation box appear where your students can listen to the word, see the mouth movement, and practice the word by recording it. And then students can replay their voice. And the best part is getting the pronunciation feedback like this. So this is in English. So here's an example feedback that I got when I mispronounced the word sheep and said it instead said ship, right? So when you hit the record button on Google, Google would provide an AI feedback like this, and you can replay your recorded voice, and then you can see the color-coded error correction and a detailed description on how to improve. So it says, try raising your tongue higher in your mouth and pull your lips a little to the sides and say ship. Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. Sheep instead of ship. I got confused. And then there are other examples of common errors that they provide, for example, like errors like feet and fit and peach and pitch, right? Now, not all word searches give you this feature in Google, but it is still a valuable resource for your students to practice pronunciation and word level speaking in English. I'm not sure how many of you are English language teachers, but here are some websites that you might find useful if you are an English as a second language educator. So this is called learningchocolate.com. It is an awesome free vocabulary learning platform, which I think it's perfect for younger learners or newcomers, new learners of English. And it's a perfect self-learning resource for your students who want to practice vocabulary in English. So that's learningchocolate.com. I'm going to quickly move on to another website, which is really helpful for learning phonics in English. This is called readingbear.org. It's a free online program to teach beginning readers vocabulary and concept, and at the same time introducing the main phonetic patterns of written English using rich and innovative media. Now, I, as a current instructional designer, I believe in media, and I believe in how media can enhance the learning experience. And this site is free, first of all, and their videos and the visual scaffolds and interactive slide, they are beautifully created and they are very engaging. So if you teach English as a second language, this is a highly recommended site that you can use for free. Yes. If you have questions, I will be more than happy to answer them at the end of the session. Thank you. All right, so let's move on. So let's move on to the instructional scaffolds. which is the second type of scaffold and strategies to help students swirl. Now, these are the tools, structure, and strategies that you can incorporate in your lesson plan to help students swirl and really reach higher, right? Reach higher during your instruction. So some examples are the 10-to-2 rule. So 10 minutes of teacher talk that's followed by 2 minutes of student talk. Other examples are word wall, peer assisted reading, graphic organizer, dual coding, then the text and the image, both dually, so to comprehension and that comprehensible input, providing audio and visual support for new content, and etc. Now, in the center, these are the universal instructional scaffolds that are critical in helping our students, like connecting new information to old, activating that prior knowledge so that the prior knowledge connects to the new learning. Also, gradual release of responsibility. Teacher modeling is so important, and doing it together and having students partner up and do it within themselves together. And then lastly, doing it independently and using non-linguistic representations like visuals, graphic organizers. I'm going to talk about GIFs or GIFs, and other modes to make that content comprehensible. And lastly, home language support, whatever language they speak at home. So the first strategy that I wanted to share is called information gap activity. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar as language educator, the strategy of doing information gap. So I always tell myself when I design speaking tasks that we shouldn't just encourage partner talk, but to almost require them to talk to each other. For example, let's say you do think, pair, and share type of task using this picture prompt. Now, this is an elementary example, but you can adapt this into any age group or any audience. So, for example, students will say, I see 2 butterflies, or a red ladybug is resting on the tree, right? So we have the ladybug here. Now, picture prompts are great scaffolds and an excellent way to elicit ideas and build language, but you can add meaningful purpose and more cognitive inquiry load if you create a version 2. So it's kind of like a spot the difference task where partner 1 and 2, they have images with subtle differences, and their task find out the difference through academic talk or discourse without showing each other their pictures. Now, talk is required. For example, partner 2 will say, the blue butterfly. So partner 2 will say, there is only 1 butterfly. How many butterflies are there in your picture, right? So they are encouraged to ask questions and find out the difference without showing them each other's images. So making these 2 different images are pretty simple. I usually use 1 image from my content area, and I would just copy and paste extra images on 1, or draw extra things to create an image version 2. So throughout the task, if you teach students to ask questions and ask for clarification, using sentence stem, information gap strategies can really level up your partner speaking task and make it fun and engaging and interactive. Another example, here's an information gap activity where now reading skill is added. So let's say partner 1, let's say in partner 2, sentence 1, it says, Thanksgiving is my favorite blank. right? And then partner one on his slide has the missing piece, which is the word holiday. So using the context clues and asking questions to their partners, they have to figure out the missing piece. And in this process, you can provide question stems to help students clarify, confirm, and elaborate. And by the way, you have to remind your students not to just give out the answers, which totally defeats the whole purpose of reading for meaning. And by the way, all of the templates that I'm sharing on my screen, there is a resource hyperlinked. So if you click on my Google Slides, if you click this little square, you will see a free copy of the template. So feel free to use it. I'm a believer of free resources for all educators, because I think all educators are awesome. So if you feel like a strategy can be used in your classroom, feel free to get a copy of the template. Okay, Glenn, that's a great question. So virtually, if you use Google Classroom, it's easier. So you would have two groups of students, right? Students A and B, and you would look at their roster and then just check off and assign one group of students version A and assign the other group of students version B. Yes, so if you have Google Classroom, the process of assigning these becomes super easy. Thanks for that question, Glenn. All right. Here's another one. Here's one more example of partner information gap. So partner, this is using images. So this is for lower proficient language learners, where all the sentence stems are located here on the bottom, right over here. So partner B will ask partner A, how many glue sticks do you have? And partner A will answer, I have one glue stick. And then they're going to take turns. Partner A will now ask, how many laptops do you have? And then partner B will answer, I have 2 laptops. Again, all of these templates are linked in my handout, so feel free to make a copy later. All right, I'm going to move on because of time to the next strategy. I know a lot of you in this call are teaching secondary or teenagers, and this is something that you can utilize. It's called Conversation Placemat using Google Slides as well. So Conversation Placemat really helps students paraphrase their conversations or their partner's thoughts using the question starter scaffolds that are outside of the frame. So on my screen, this is a picture of one of my Conversation Placemat Google slide template where two students are editing. So both students are editing this one slide deck simultaneously. So each student takes ownership of one color and one side. For example, partner 1 will take the left side and partner 2 will take the right side. And you can pose a question related to the content of your instructions. So for example, the question can be, what is the driving theme of the story? And once you pose that question, students can complete the boxes first in numbers. So they're going to jot down their thoughts first in box number 1. So it gives them that time, an opportunity for them to organize their thoughts. And then once they write down their thoughts, they're going to go to box number 2 and then ask questions, right? So partner 1 will ask partner 2, what do you think? Do you want me to start first or do you want to start? So they're engaged in this conversation using question starters and sentence starters, statement starters. And then after that, they're going to paraphrase what they heard in their own words. So partner one will paraphrase what partner two said, and then he or she will write it in box number 2. And then lastly, in the center, they will come up with a consensus and a summary. They're going to synthesize their conversation and they will share out as a pair to the class. Now, conversation placemat template like this really helps thinking and academic discourse visible and accountable, and promotes critical thinking routines and the academic discourse skills. Just making thinking visible. It's so important in our language classroom. Right, so that was academic conversation placemat. All right, I am going to move on to, let's see, how am I doing with time? Let's see. So let me briefly talk about the virtual word wall. So this is another instructional scaffold you can use to help with vocabulary learning. Now, we all know that vocabulary is the currency of the classroom, and each explicit teaching of the word is valuable for our students to become rich in language. And it's very important that we provide multiple representation to make vocabulary concepts comprehensible. And this virtual word wall can be used as an anchor chart, a virtual streamlined anchor chart for all of the vocabulary words that your class learns throughout the school year. Group them by different topics, by units, or you can co-create them together and invite everyone into one class word wall and edit them together and so forth. Now, one tech tip that I want to share is using Moat Chrome extension. If you haven't heard of Moat Chrome extension, this has been a game changer, a lifesaver, a time saver, because before the Moat days, I would record my audio using my phone. I would put it in my Google Drive and insert it. And then you had to go through so many steps to add audio to my slides. But with Moat, the step of inserting audio becomes super simple. And here's a screenshot of how it works and looks like. So you have to download the Moat Google Slides add-on or extension to your Chrome browser. You can find it actually linked here. And when you download this Chrome extension to your browser, you see a little M button appear on your slide. And when you are ready to record your audio, you would click that M button. I'm going to wait until this one. So you're going to click this M button. So here we go. Click the M button, and then you're going to record your audio. Click the M button again, and then you're recording it, whatever you say, and then it's going to give you an insert. And then that's it. Your audio is inserted. And this comes with their free account. You don't have to pay for anything. And there's so many other features that they provide, but this was one of the features that I used with Moat. So super, super cool. And here is a screenshot of a new virtual word wall where students can hear you modeling the word on the left side. They can hear the word. And then if you teach your students how to use this Chrome extension, they can record the audio and insert it to this blank box. Now here's a spin-off idea that I tried. You can do a read aloud relay, which is a simple way to gamify reading a text, kind of like a digital popcorn reading. And this is done best asynchronously as a homework assignment where students can read a section of a text that you're reading together as a whole class. So let's say reader 1, Caleb, reads it and then inserts his audio and drags his audio here. And then after that, Anna is reader 2, and she has to listen to Caleb's audio and find out where Caleb has left off and then continue reading and drags the audio here. So this is a great way for promoting, encouraging reading fluency, and it really helps build that classroom community, even virtually. So that's a read aloud relay idea. I have time for one more strategy, which is animated GIFs. Joe, it's called GIF, not GIF. This is an all-time debate. So moving on to animated GIF. We all know how important visual scaffolds are, like images, realia, and non-linguistic representations are to making content comprehensible. On my screen, there are 3 Google image results for 3 words with different shades of meaning for the word walk, which are stroll, dash, and trudge. Now I'm going to show the upgraded images using animated GIFs and take a look at how GIF images enhance the meaning of these 3 words. Ready? There you go. So look at how these animated GIFs enhance the meaning of the word stroll, dash, and trudge. Now, these GIFs are like the midway between a still image and a long video, and they do wonders not only for comprehension, but really capturing students' attention and increasing motivation. So I want to close our session with sharing a very quick trick to quickly find these GIFs and add it to your documents. And the trick is Giphy extension. Giphy extension. It's called GIPHY Chrome extension, which I use every single day. So once you download this Giphy Chrome extension and pin it to your browser right here, you can easily search and insert GIFs into Google Slides. And all you have to do is to click the Giphy icon and then search whatever content, whatever word that you want to teach your students. And then all you need to do is to just drag and drop it to your online documents. Oh, Image Play is a great app for making your own. Yes, there are tons of make your own GIFs online that you can use, and you can actually use your own GIFs and help students make their own GIFs for vocabulary. It's always fun to do that. Thanks for that idea, Joe. All right, so I am going to wrap up. Unfortunately, I will not be able to, I don't have time to share all of these templates, but feel free to browse through my slides, and I have all linked all the resources in my slide deck, so feel free to use that. So thank you so much. I'm going to use the last 10 minutes to answer any questions that you might have. Here you go. So my handle, so you can follow me and connect with me on social media. So I'm very active on Twitter or Instagram. My handle is Mrs. Park Shine. I really want to help all the educators shine. And that's actually my life goal, to help everyone shine. And there are more templates, free templates for all of you. If you would go to my website, mrspark.org/free, there's tons of free free templates and resources that I shared that I used in my own classroom. And I just decided, why not share with all the educators? So those are located in my website. So thank you. I'm going to open up for any questions that you might have. So if you would like to, this is the time.
That's fantastic, Esther. Thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant, as I expected. Absolutely wonderful stuff. So we've had lots of lovely comments saying things, for example, love your resources. Thank you very much for your generosity. So brilliant and so generous. Thank you. Tremendous session, Esther, etc. We had one question around the live translation in PowerPoint, because Helen was saying that in her version of PowerPoint, she didn't have that feature. Can you just go through again the version of PowerPoint you're using and how to do that? That's okay.
Sure. All right, I'm going to share my screen. You have to have the latest version of PowerPoint. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna go over here. So this is the latest version of the PowerPoint that I have. Let's see how. So, and then you would go to slideshow. Oh, it's not clickable right now. Oh, it's probably because it's, hold on. All right, so you would go to slideshow tab. And on the right side, there is a captions and subtitles heading here. And you can unclick or click always use subtitles. And then you would go to subtitle setting. There's an option for spoken language and the subtitle language. To address one of your questions, there is an Arabic translation here, and there's, I believe, they offer 60 different languages. Yes. But yeah, to go back to your question, you have to have the latest PowerPoint. I don't know the specs of it. I can look it up right now, but you have to have the latest version of the PowerPoint installed in your desktop. That answer?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Could you maybe, you know, that animated GIF of yourself on your last slide? I know how you'd made that, but can you explain to everyone in the session right now how you did that? Because I think it's genius.
Of course, yes. So it's very simple. I used my cell phone to record a 2 to 3 seconds of me doing some goofy things or pointing, you know, at the ceiling or something. And then you would go to unscreen.com, which is a website that would remove the backdrop, whatever background, and make it transparent. And if you have a very short video, it's free. So I think the limit is probably 4 to 5 seconds. So it has to be super short. It has to be a GIF, a very short video. And then you would upload it to unscreen.com. You can directly upload the video using your phone. And then they do the unscreening for you. After you get the unscreened transparent background file, you would drag that file to Google Slides.
Amazing. Glenn just put onscreen.com in the chat. Could you maybe talk a little bit about how you've used onscreen with the feedback stickers that you have created? Would that be okay?
Yes, yeah, of course. So the feedback sticker has the same idea, but one thing that I had to do with feedback sticker was to create a design in Google Slides. So it can be a circle, it can be any shape. And after you have a design, I actually have a template in my website So once you have a template or a design in slides, you would just drag your GIF, your transparent GIF that you already made using unscreen.com, drag it, and then you would have a Google Slides with stickers. And the hardest part of you doing GIF sticker is to take a screenshot of the moving pieces and change that into GIF. So this is like a whole another workshop to do, but you would have to take a screenshot of the moving pieces using Screencastify or whatever program that you use to capture the video on your screen. And then in the platform, I usually use Screencastify. So in the platform, you would just change the output file as GIF. Yeah.
Fantastic. Do you know the website gifcap.dev?
Yes.
Because I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, there's a bunch of them. There is this one called gifpal.com too, where it helps you make GIFs. So there's a lot of them. You can even Google search, like make GIF, and you would have a tons of free website where you can create animated GIFs, which is really cool.
That's amazing. We've got a question from Sabria. Do you prefer using Mote audio or insert the PowerPoint audio? I suppose it depends if you're using Google Slides or PowerPoint. But do you normally use Google tools for your presentations, or do you do a mixture?
I do a mixture. So it depends on my audience and who my students are. When I was in the classroom, my former district, we were a Google district, and I used Mote all the time, and I used Google Slides. But one thing about Google Slides is that it does not have the PowerPoint live translation feature. So what I did, do I have time? Yeah,
you got plenty of time. We can listen to you all night, Esther.
So I'm going to share a cool trick that I did. So what I did was I app smashed my the two things about PowerPoint live translation and, should I call it, Google Slides. So I use the bottom part. And then so this is back when I was in person, and I would pull up my Google Slides, as I like Google Slides better as a present, it's easier. So let's say you have a Google Slides, I would just do this, and the students are seeing my screen, right? So I would just, okay, it's not doing it, but I would use this part of the screen for my presentation because all my resources is in Google Slides, but students still have this part. So I used to use that trick once in a while because I didn't want to revamp everything, and I didn't want to transfer everything from my Google Slides to PowerPoint and vice versa. So this was just a really easy way to use the pros, the advantages of both softwares. But I'm a Google person by heart. But yeah, Google has to step up the game and do the live translation, which they're not. From my understanding, they don't have that feature yet.
Yeah, no, they have live captions, but they don't have translation of live captions. Yeah. As we sort of we haven't got any more questions yet. Would it be okay just to have a look at the Jamboard slides that you had in your presentation? Would that be okay?
Sure. All right. So I have all of these Jamboards. So these Jamboards are part of the manipulatives that I wanted to share. And if you click on, you click on each of the Jamboard. This one is for elementary phonics. It will prompt you to make a copy. And this is actually created by another educator. And with her permission, I'm sharing this. Let's see. So this is a guided reading Jamboard slide, right? So where students or teacher models using the letter tiles to make a word, whatever word you want to make.
Excellent.
And then there's other, you can use sticky notes. All right. And this is part of the guided reading process. All right. So this is it. So the interactive nature of Jamboard is amazing. You can, create sentence titles or letter tiles or phrases using the sticky notes. And the best part is it's interactive. So a lot of the interactive Jamboards are very useful. It's, I think, something that we should continue to use even if we go back to in-person traditional classroom, just because our next generation, even my kids, they know digital tools better than me. I know nothing about how to set up Nintendo Switch. I'm like, I love technology, but I don't want to learn, Nintendo Switch, how to, start or, install a Nintendo Switch or start it. Anyways, they're so fast. They're fast learners. And I think we as educators, we need to keep it up. And so we need to, transfer those skills into an educational setting because they are capable and they learn best in a virtual setting.
Absolutely.
Using virtual tools.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Esther. It's
Sure.
been absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I knew it would be, but we're very grateful for you sharing some time with us today. It's been
Wonderful.
fascinating to hear how you, your whole sort of your methodology, your workflow, talking about scaffolding, and then giving us lots of practical examples. I think it's been wonderful. Helen, do you want to turn your video on and your mic on and espouse your thoughts as well?
I just thought, really, that was wonderful. Really, really good. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for the way that you've shared the link so that we can look at it again afterwards. It's really attractive. I was looking at that. And personally, what I've got out of this particularly is the that live transcript. And I've now realized what it is. I've got 2016 downloaded on my laptop, but it's in Office 365 that I can get the subtitles.
That's
and I just
awesome.
think it's amazing because, the big debate, do you use target language or don't you? Well, this will make it that you can use target language and people will be able to see the translation. So brilliant, really, really good. So thank you ever so much. Thank you, Joe, for finding this wonderful person.
It's okay.
Aww.
Esther's amazing. And delighted that you were able to share us about the animated GIFs as well. I'm a GIF man. I know you're a GIF person, but I'm a GIF man. But I think animated GIFs are fantastic. And it's, as Helen was saying in the chat, particularly for things like verbs or action verbs, GIFs are great, I think, for reinforcing the meaning. Definitely.
Right.
And by the way, if people want to turn on their videos, because I normally quite like getting a little picture of people to put on the website as well. But no, I think now I've always said GIF, but then I looked and the person who invented them said they're GIFs.
Yay.
Oh, really? But it's a graphic
I know.
That's
format.
right.
And
That's
graphic
right.
is a hard G. That's my
I suppose there probably are other examples of acronyms where you don't pronounce it according to, might have a soft C rather than
true.
I can't think of one at the moment, but I expect there are some. We as language teachers should be able to find. But I just really, really good. Thank you very much. I almost wish, because I'm actually I'm now part-time and getting on for retirement, and I want to sort of come back and do full-time, I think, to be able to use some of these things.
Oh, that's great.
Lovely to see people. Yes, if you'd like to anybody else would like to be a bit more daring and put on your webcam, and then I can take some pictures. That would be lovely.
We have definite fans of yours, Esther, in the audience. I know from Twitter. If anyone would like to turn on the mic, I don't know, have we allowed people to turn on their microphones?
Yes.
If they want to.
Oh no, I haven't. No. Now you.
Right. If anyone wants to say hello to Esther in person, maybe.
There's Glenn doffing his hat there. Look.
Hi, Glenn. Cool.
Okay, I'll do a little, is it Shift Windows S? So I'm on my laptop because my PC's died. So here goes, 1, 2, 3. Lovely. And then I do that. Great. Thank you very much. Oh no, we've got another. Sorry, got to take one again. Somebody else joined us. Here goes Ben. 1, 2, 3. Except you then shut your eyes, Joe.
Did I? Sorry. I'm sorry it's a bit dark in here. This is my main light is not very good today. But never
Right.
mind.
I'll try and catch you by surprise. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Cool.
Thank you all. It was a special night or early evening for me.
Thanks, Esther. It's been lovely.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I shall stop the recording now. Stop recording.
Fantastic.